They say in life, your greatest enemy is not always a stranger. Sometimes, it's the person sitting closest to you. This is the story of Amanda, a beautiful woman, blessed with a loving husband, 2 children, and a life many would envy. But her biggest mistake was trusting her best friend, Margaret. When betrayal enters through the front door, peace flies out through the window. Amanda's life was cut short. But her love as a mother refused to die. This is not just a story about friendship and betrayal. It is a story about a mother's love, a love so strong, not even death could silence it. It was raining heavily. Cloud with rain. Cars sped along the expressway, horns blaring, wipers moving fast. Sandra was driving home from work, thinking about her children, when it happened. A trailer lost control. Articulated lorry high voltage. Sandra's car spun off the road. Her head hit the steering wheel. Blood. Darkness. Silence. When she opened her eyes again, she was standing on the road, unhurt. Her car was smashed, a crowd had gathered. But her body was still there, lifeless. Sandra touched her own face, confused. "Am I alive?" she whispered. "No, dear," came a soft voice behind her. Sandra turned quickly. A tall, beautiful woman in a white dress stood under the rain, and yet not a drop touched her. "You're dead? You've crossed over." Sandra gasped, stepping back. "Jesus. No." She tried to hold someone's hand in the crowd, but they walked past her like air. I don't understand," Sandra stammered. The woman stepped closer, her face calm yet sad. "I'm Amanda," she said softly. Sandra stared at her through the rain. "Amanda." Amanda gave a sad, knowing smile. "Like you, I died in pain. But my soul couldn't cross to the other side because of my children's cries." Sandra frowned slowly, her heart tightening. "What happened to you?" Amanda's eyes filled with quiet tears. She sat down beside the road, the rain still falling, yet touching neither of them. Amanda placed her hands in her lap and said in a soft, steady voice, "This is my story, and my pain." Amanda and Margaret were 2 inseparable friends. They had grown up together on the same street, attended the same secondary school, and even served in the same city during their youth service year. Wherever you saw Amanda, Margaret wasn't far behind. Amanda was gentle and soft-spoken, while Margaret was loud, bold, and quick to anger. But Amanda always calmed her down. After completing their youth service, both girls agreed they needed to find serious jobs. That very week, they dressed in smart office clothes, printed out their CVs, and set out to apply at a big oil and gas company called Jide Group of Companies. Both of them didn't know that life was about to change forever. It was a sunny morning. Amanda wore a simple sky blue gown, her hair packed in a neat bun. Margaret wore a bright red skirt suit and heavy makeup. They were chatting as they walked along the main road heading towards the company. Suddenly, from nowhere, a black SUV jeep sped past a large puddle of muddy rainwater beside the road. Splash wash. Both girls were soaked. Their clothes stained, makeup ruined. The black SUV stopped almost immediately. A young man in a crisp white shirt stepped out. His face was handsome, serious looking, but now worried. "I'm so sorry," he said, walking towards them quickly. But before he could say another word, Margaret exploded. "Are you blind? How can you splash people like that and be driving like a madman? Do you know we have an interview this morning?" Her voice echoed along the street. The man tried to speak, but Margaret kept going. "Useless rich man. Driving expensive car and disturbing innocent people. Is it our fault we don't have a car yet?" Amanda gently touched her arm. "Margaret, please. Calm down. Turning to the man, Amanda gave a small, tired smile. It's okay, sir, she said quietly. We understand. Accidents happen. The man's eyes rested on her. Calm. Different from the usual noisy Lagos attitude. Please, he said, bringing out his wallet. Take this money. Use it to clean up and buy new clothes. Amanda accepted the money with a small bow of thanks. Thank you, sir. She turned to Margaret again, pulling her gently by the arm. Let's go and change quickly, so we won't miss our interview. Even as they walked away, Amanda could feel the man still watching her. Amanda and Margaret rushed home, changed their clothes, and headed back towards Jide Group of Companies. This time, they arrived looking sharp again, though slightly flustered. When they entered the company lobby, the receptionist smiled politely and told them to wait for their turn. Amanda felt nervous but focused. Finally, they were both called in for the interview. The office was large, air-conditioned. A beautiful city view behind a white desk. And sitting on the boss's chair was the same man from the black SUV. Amanda froze. Margaret opened her mouth in shock. The man smiled slightly and leaned back in his chair. Good morning, ladies, he said coolly. I believe we've already met today. Amanda managed a small laugh, embarrassed. Margaret looked away, biting her lip in regret. That was how Amanda and Margaret met Jide Umidi, CEO of Jide Group of Companies. From that day, everything changed. Amanda's gentle heart caught Jide's attention more than her beauty. While Margaret had looks and confidence, Jide noticed Amanda's humility first. And that single meeting planted the seed for all that was to come: friendship, jealousy, love, betrayal, and revenge from beyond the grave. While both ladies were given interview opportunities, Jide's eyes were always drawn to Amanda. It wasn't just her beauty, it was the way she carried herself, quietly and respectfully. Margaret noticed it quickly. And bitterness began to quietly grow inside her heart. Days turned to weeks. After offering Amanda a personal assistant role, Jide made his interest clear. He sent Amanda gifts, flowers, lunch at work. Margaret saw it all. One afternoon, Margaret pulled Amanda aside. Are you sure about this Jide man? Margaret asked, frowning. Rich men like that, they never marry one woman. You'll just become one of his toys. But Amanda shook her head gently. No, Margaret. Jide is different. He respects me. And truly, Jide wasn't like other men. After months of dating, he came to Amanda's family, paid her bride price, and planned a grand white wedding. Even though Margaret wasn't happy, Amanda made her the chief bridesmaid. During the wedding reception, while Amanda danced joyfully in her white gown, Margaret stood with her arms folded, watching silently. Amanda, noticing her mood, only smiled. Margaret is just jealous because she hasn't found her own husband yet, Amanda thought to herself. She didn't know it was something deeper, something darker. Marriage life was beautiful for Amanda. Jide loved her. He traveled abroad often and brought her designer clothes, shoes, jewelry. Amanda would always call Margaret. Come and see what Jide bought for me from Dubai. And Margaret would come, smiling on the outside but boiling on the inside. To Amanda, it felt like harmless bitterness. Like ordinary jealousy. But in Margaret's heart, something more evil was growing. Years passed. Amanda gave birth to their first child, a baby girl named Zara. Joy filled the house. Then she became pregnant again. This time, a baby boy. Jide traveled for a business meeting abroad shortly after Amanda delivered the second baby. That was the perfect moment for Margaret. It was a quiet Sunday afternoon. Amanda was resting at home with her newborn son. Her first child, Zara, was asleep in the children's room. The air smelled of baby powder and fresh flowers. Jide had traveled abroad for business just 2 days before. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. The house help opened the door. "Good afternoon, Auntie Margaret," the maid greeted. Margaret stepped in, holding a small food flask wrapped in a white towel. Her face carried its usual bright smile. "I came to visit Madam," she said sweetly. The maid smiled back. "She's inside the bedroom resting." Margaret walked confidently to Amanda's room. Amanda was sitting up on the bed, breastfeeding her son. "Margaret, you came," Amanda said with a tired smile. "Of course," Margaret replied gently, setting the flask down. "You're my sister. I can't leave you alone in this condition." After Margaret helped her settle the baby, Amanda ate the pepper soup with joy, not knowing she had just swallowed her death. That night, Amanda went to bed early, feeling a little weak but blaming it on childbirth stress. The maid checked on her once before going to her own room. By morning, Amanda wasn't waking up. Her skin was cold. Her eyes half closed. Amanda had died in her sleep. The news spread quickly. Jide was still abroad when he received the phone call. He left everything and rushed back home. The house was full of mourning. Family members came. Neighbors gathered outside. Jide was heartbroken. His wife, his Amanda, gone just like that. The police were involved. Doctors ran tests. When the autopsy report came back, the cause was clear. Food poisoning. The house help was immediately arrested. She was the last person seen handling Amanda's food and caring for her. No one thought to ask if there had been any visitors. No one asked about Margaret's pepper soup. The maid was blamed. She was sacked and taken away, crying and swearing she was innocent. Margaret stepped forward like a perfect friend. She began acting like a mother hen over the children. She came every day. Cooked. Cleaned. Bathed the baby boy. Styled Zara's hair. She even quit her own job, telling everyone, "Amanda would have done the same for me. These children need me." Jide was still drowning in grief, too broken to argue. He accepted Margaret's help, thankful someone was there. But only Margaret knew her true heart. Her real target wasn't just taking care of the children. Her eyes were on something bigger. Becoming the wife of Jide Umidi and owning everything Amanda left behind. One evening, Jide's mother said quietly, "Son, Margaret is a good woman. The children already know her. Why not make things easier and marry her?" Jide resisted at first. But grief and loneliness made him weak. After much pressure, he finally agreed. Margaret became Mrs. Margaret Jide Umidi. There was no grand wedding this time. Just a quiet family gathering. Margaret smiled sweetly in public, but the moment the guests left, her true face returned. Now that she had everything she wanted, she no longer needed to pretend. Except when Jide was home. Whenever Jide was around, Margaret acted like the perfect wife and stepmother. "Zara, come and take ice cream," she would say loudly, making sure Jide could hear her. But the moment Jide left for work or traveled again, the house became a nightmare. Margaret's voice turned harsh. Her eyes sharp. "You little rats," she shouted one morning when Zara accidentally spilled milk on the dining table. She dragged Zara by the ear. "You useless girl. Just like your stupid mother." The nanny tried to speak, but Margaret slapped her too. "Get out of my sight." Even the baby boy wasn't spared. When he cried too much, Margaret would lock him in a dark room until he fell asleep from exhaustion. The house that once had laughter now echoed with tears. Zara and her baby brother would often sit in the corner, hugging each other, crying quietly. That night, as Zara cried herself to sleep holding her baby brother tight, Amanda's ghost appeared in the room. Her white dress glowed faintly. Her face was filled with deep pain. She knelt beside her children. "Zara, my baby," Amanda whispered, her voice shaking. Amanda stretched out her hand to touch Zara's head, but her hand passed through. Like smoke. "No." Amanda whispered, tears falling from her eyes. She tried again. And again. But she couldn't hold her daughter. Couldn't wipe her tears. "Mommy," Zara sobbed in her sleep. "Where are you? I miss you." Amanda's heart shattered. Amanda knelt on the floor and wept bitterly. Her cries echoed through the spiritual realm, a mother torn apart, watching her children suffer, but unable to help. "I'm here. I'm here," Amanda cried, though no one could hear her. The only thing she could do was sit by them, night after night, like a shadow, watching, protecting in silence. Amanda's ghost finished telling her story under the dark gray sky. Sandra stood beside her, quiet and angry. "So," Sandra said, her voice low, "your own best friend poisoned you, took your husband, and now she's torturing your children." Amanda nodded slowly, her face pale with sadness. "Yes. And I can't touch her. I can't hold my children. I'm trapped between this world and the next." Sandra clenched her fists. "What do you want me to do?" Amanda's eyes lit up faintly. "Help me protect my children. Help me finish what I couldn't." Sandra looked down at her own hands, remembering her accident. "My body. I'm dead now, right?" Amanda shook her head gently. "No. Your body is still alive. But you're caught between life and death. You're in a coma." Sandra's eyes widened. "A coma?" Amanda pointed toward the distance. Through the fog, Sandra could see a hospital building glowing faintly. Inside, in one of the rooms, her real body lay motionless on a hospital bed, machines beeping softly. Her family was gathered around the bed, crying and praying. Amanda turned back to her. "If you agree to help me, I'll show you the way to touch the living. There's a leaf, magical. You'll eat it. Then you'll be able to walk among the living again for a while." Sandra swallowed hard, looking toward her unconscious body. "If I help you, will I wake up from my coma later?" Amanda's voice softened. "That depends. The spirits will decide. But I can't promise. What I can promise is your soul will have peace, and my children will be saved." Sandra closed her eyes for a moment. She thought of her children. Her husband. Then opened them again. "I agree." Amanda smiled gently, tears shining in her eyes. "Thank you." Amanda led Sandra into the spirit forest, a silent place where trees glowed blue and gold. Shadows of lost souls moved between the trees, crying softly. In the middle of the forest stood a black tree with golden leaves. Amanda pointed to one glowing leaf. "That one," Amanda said. Sandra plucked it carefully. Her fingers tingled as she brought it to her lips. Without hesitation, she swallowed it. Suddenly, her form glowed. Her hands became solid again. The wind shifted. Amanda smiled as Sandra looked at her hands in wonder. "You're ready now," Amanda said. "Go. Save my children. And be careful." At the same time, in the real world, Sandra's body remained on the hospital bed. Her husband sat beside her, holding her hand, tears in his eyes. Suddenly, her fingers twitched. The nurse gasped. "Doctor. She's responding." But Sandra's soul wasn't back yet. Her body remained in a coma. Her spirit had another mission first. And that mission was waiting at Amanda's mansion. She came as a maid, but she was sent for a mission. Sandra entered Amanda's house with nothing but a small bag and a promise. A promise to protect two children from a darkness their late mother could no longer fight. But what she finds inside that house will break your heart and shake your soul. Don't just watch it, feel the story unfold. Subscribe now and turn on notifications, more powerful episodes are coming.